Next, the leaders of the 5 biggest political parties have all agreed to be quizzed online by you ahead of next year's general election. David Cameron, Ed Miliband, Nick Clegg, Nigel Farage and Natalie Bennett will all take part in the Leaders Live debate starting next month. They're the brainchild of a former Dartford school teacher, Mike Sani, and the entrepreneur from West London, Jamal Edwards.
One of these people wants to run the country, but what sets them apart and where do they stand on issues you care about?
Good. Proportional representation.
Politicians make politics complicated. If they want our votes, they're going to have to start speaking a language we all understand.
We can bank online. What are you doing to put voting online?
What's your opinion on the Robin Hood tax?
What are you doing to engage young people in politics?
Well, there you go. Let's start with that issue. Let's start with you, Jamal. How do we engage young people in politics and why are they so disengaged right now?
I think at the moment young people are more opinionated than ever and I feel like they didn't feel like their voices are being heard. So doing a Leaders Live debate is something which can bring the leaders into a place where it's online and people can just send in their questions and they can answer it like no jargon around anything, just keeping it like straightforward and to the point.
Mike, you came up with the idea when you were teaching at a school in Dartford. What was it in that experience that compelled you to come up with this?
Well, just to be clear, I mean, the idea of the movement was started in Dartford. This idea has been formulated by a wider team of us over the past couple of years. But I think the point to make was we saw how young people were just continuously being ignored, not engaged, and then to be labelled apathetic was just not on. You can't call anyone apathetic unless you've told them everything there is to know, and they can then make a decision to say, it's not for me. So this is about bringing politics to them where they are in a fresh way so that they can engage and then they can decide whether any of these people are worth their vote.
Now, in 2010, we had those leaders' debates. Let's take a look.
What key elements for a fair, workable immigration policy need to be put in place?
Net migration levels before 1997 were never greater than 77,000 a year. Under your government, they've never been less than 140,000 a year. That's a very big number, and it's only now that you're starting to take... You're only starting just before an election to take the steps that need to be taken.
I'm going to bring Nick Clegg in now, and we'll continue.
Well,
Mr. Clegg?
I think this is partly what's been going wrong for so long.
All right, Jamal, now be kind here. What is it about that puts young people off, and what are you guys doing differently?
I don't know. I think what we're doing is we're going to have it one by one, so it's going to be like a one-on-one thing. And I think the audience there, well, just from the guy that was asking the questions, doesn't seem exactly young as well. So I think from the first standpoint, we're trying to get loads of other young people involved. I'm trying to call on musicians, other entrepreneurs, influencers to get involved and then use their audience to help build a conversation just outside of the room as well.
Mike, I have to ask, there's one thing talking about young people being disengaged through apathy generally, but what about when you get people like Russell Brand, who carry a lot of sway with a lot of people, who are just telling young people, well, don't even bother voting? What do you think about that? Well,
we met Russell recently, and it's worth saying I agree with a lot of what he says. Democracy doesn't represent us. We are being let down. It is self-serving by quite a certain percentage of society. So, you know, he did come out and say that he's not voting because there's no one worth voting for. But, you know, to that I would say, well, if everyone feels like that, go and spoil your ballot paper. Imagine if more people voted for no one than the next Prime Minister. I think that sends a huge message to the status quo that we're informed, we're engaged, and we're not putting up with it any longer.
And last question, very quickly. Each leader will choose 3 topics for debate. The public will choose another. What topics do we think will be chosen and why?
Well, we've had a few come in, so we know Nigel Farage wants to talk about immigration, the EU and democracy. Natalie's going to talk about the environment, education, and we're just collecting the rest of the topics, and then it opens up to the wider audience to vote for the one that they want.
OK, Mike, Jamal, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Well, to find out when each leader will be live, plus how you can get involved, head to our website. All the details for you at itv.com, London. Still to come.